I'll tell you, the other thing with permitting 4 and more, that's the other issue I think you absolutely have to work out. How is that going to function before you implement a policy like this?
Yeah. Representative Taylor, this is an informational session and it is give and take. And I think you've provided some good input there. If there's additional clarification that we can provide on the front end, I'll go back to my team and talk about that. So I thank you for that suggestion.
I have a quick follow-up question to Assembly Taylor. And this is directed to Chief Tubbs. Chief Tubbs, if there are... My name is Brian Standing, and I am a reporter for WRT 89.9 FM Community Radio. The question I have for you, Chief Tubbs, is if there is an assembly of people that, in your definition, constitutes a rally without a permit, are you prepared to start making arrests of those people? And when will that date start?
Again, what we have done for the last 10 months, we have relied on communications and voluntary compliance. That's going to be our first approach.
If you do not, let me get a little more specific then. Let's say whenever the actual implementation date of these new rules goes into effect, there's a sing-along here in the Rotunda without a permit and there's 150 people in the Rotunda. Are you prepared to make 150 arrests if those people do not voluntarily comply?
And I'm not going to really answer to a hypothetical at this particular time.
It's not hypothetical. It's not. No, it's not. So what are you going to do? Are you going to arrest people under that circumstance?
Bottom line, we're going to work with voluntary compliance.
And if you don't get voluntary compliance, what will you do?
At that time, we're going to evaluate the situation.
And do what?
We're going to evaluate that situation. I'm not going to give up the ability we have as a law enforcement agency to professionally deal with a situation that could be questionable. I'm not going to give that up at this
So
time.
the public does not understand under what circumstances they might be subject to arrest and under what circumstances they might not. Is that my understanding?
Well, to me, it's very clear here to me now, okay, that we're requesting to permit cooperation. The permitting process has worked very well here, very well. I can tell you right now, everyone who's received a permit, I can't tell you anyone who's been subject to an arrest or been any violations of the law. The permitting process has worked and worked very well. Can I finish, Brian?
Yes, you may.
Yes, sir. There's plenty of people right here in this room today can tell you the permitting process has worked. It has worked. The voluntary compliance has worked. That's all we're asking for. We want to be in a situation, if you apply, or the solidarity singers apply, and they want this particular space, we want to be in a position where we can grant it. We don't want other groups come. Right now, we have, and thank God, the singers have been wonderful, cooperating. We have the children's group who come in and sing throughout the month of December, throughout the year. We have the Red Cross who comes in. We have other groups who come in. And the solidarity singers,
And that is different than requiring a permit for their activities, which has occurred 230-odd times in this building without a permit.
That's correct.
So are you saying now that with the new rules, under the new rules, if the solidarity sing-along or another political rally or some other political speech involving 4 or more people occurs in this building that you determine is not spontaneous, if that occurs in this building, that they will now be subject to penalties and arrest where they never have been before? Is that the situation?
What I'm saying again, we're going to meet with the solidarity singers separately.
Don't avoid the question.
Please answer the question.
I'm answering the question.
No,
You're avoiding the question.
But we have a different situation that has occurred for 230 times in the past. We now have new rules that have been promulgated by the Department of Administration. The purpose of those new rules is to require permits where permits were not required before. So the question is, if any political rally of a non-spontaneous nature occurs in this building after the dates of these new rules are in effect, without a permit, are they going to be subject to arrest?
Okay. I'm going to answer the question again. I may not answer the way you want to hear it, but I'm going to answer the question the way I feel I'm trained professionally, and I'm going to answer it. We're going to continue. We are going to continue to work with the solidarity singers and any other group to voluntarily comply to the permit to provide that service for the cat. That's what we're going to do.
How are you going to determine what a spontaneous event is or is not?
Again, what I said, we're going to continue to work with each group. If we see a group that is developing and we have reason to believe that this is a spontaneous group, we're going to come up, we're going to talk, we're going to discuss, we're going to offer some suggestions and ideas on how to get and try to resolve it.
And if you try to resolve it through that method, what happens?
Again, I'm not going to show at hand here today and tell you that there's going to be arrests and there's not going to be arrests. I think that's unfair to the situation because we don't know what that situation is going to be.
It's unfair because it's a threat to our freedom that we have without permits. That's
With all due
unfair.
respect to you, Tubbs, there are, in every other law enforcement situation, you know what the penalties are. If I'm speeding on the highway, I know that I could be subject to ticket, I know I could be subject to losing my license, I could get points against my license. What you're telling me is you're telling me there's no information to the public about what the potential repercussions of violating this rule are. Is that correct?
In that case, you could get a warning too.
I could get a warning, but I certainly know what the ultimate penalty could be. And I know that it could be anywhere below that, and I know it could be up to a certain amount, and that there's a cap on what I can be charged with. I'm trying to find out what that cap is here.
I think when you look at what the progression is that a possibility? Potentially, but we leave the discretion to the chief to deal with the situation on the ground in the most effective manner he can. And I think, and I suspect most people here will agree that he and his staff have done an admirable job. I would expect no change in that.
And that's why
I represent 30 people who have been lawfully holding signs and videotaping, and they've been arrested. They've been handcuffed, taken to various rooms, sat in a chair for up to 15 minutes at a time with their wrists handcuffed tightly behind them.
Thrown in
There's been
jail.
a lot of talk about
Thrown in jail.
public safety. I've been told that we're being handcuffed, and I was handcuffed also. We're being handcuffed behind our backs for lawful activities, and it's being done for our safety. Can you comment and tell us why this is for our safety? And then the follow-up question is, for the safety of the public, I want to know if there's any written comments from anybody indicating that they have had a conflict, or if there has been any dangerous situations other than what we described when ex-senators Zane came in here and wheeled over people's toes, and one of the solidarity senators was punched.
Okay. First part of that question is, you said about being handcuffed.
Yeah.
Police procedure is when you're arrested, you are handcuffed and taken into custody.
Not always true.
Okay.
For rules violations or law?
Okay. Can
I've
I
been
finish?
arrested.
Now, I listened to him. I didn't interrupt him, did I? Okay, let's show some respect. Okay, let me say something. I'm the law enforcement.
Disrespectful to claim that. It is disrespectful.
I'm the law enforcement person here in the building, okay? I'm telling you, 38 years of law enforcement, 38 years. The proper procedure when you arrest people and take them into custody, you handcuff them for protection of themselves and you. Reason why? We don't want people falling. We don't want people getting hurt. We don't want them turning. Okay. Okay, you can laugh about it. I'm just telling you.
It's laughable.
No.
Right here. 38 years of respect.
No, you are wrong. I've been arrested and not handcuffed by the Madison Police Department, even the Houston Police Department. That's insane.
There's a procedure. Is that procedure
Okay.
right?
And can I finish?
It should be proportionate force.
I will turn to you. I will turn to you.
procedure
Yes,
right?
I'll turn to you, sir. Let me turn to you, okay? I can honestly tell you this, everyone here, we have not always followed that procedure. We have not, and that's my fault.
And you should not.
That's my fault. The procedure is to arrest and put people in for their own protection, and we have not followed that. We have not. Now, lately, we've been having people fall. We've been having claims of injuries, these types of things that we're dealing with. We are trying to protect the citizens as best we can. So I can tell you right now, we have not always followed that, and that falls on me.
I now make an oral request for a copy of this.
Okay.
The purpose of this informational session was to talk about the policy and the process, not about the law enforcement. That's a different topic.
That's part of the process.
One thing I do want to emphasize, I think it was your question.
Can't separate it.
I think it was your question about the event when the Solidarities were singing, there was another group that came in. That's the specific situation that we're concerned about. That if you don't have permits for two groups, it can create a very volatile situation. And that presents a public safety.
So instead, nobody can do it. All right.
So I've had my hand up for a long time, it's going down. Okay, go ahead.
I have a quick question. My name's Nicole. Why didn't you bring an attorney into it? Yes, exactly.
It was,
So that when they don't want to answer the question, they can just say that
No,
their
I think
attorney
part of
isn't
it is
here?
that we recognize that some of what we're doing here could be challenging in court at some point in time. And attorneys have different responsibilities in that situation than what someone who's a non.
So you're acknowledging that you want the state to pay more money
Nope.
because you will not follow case law,
Correct.
which
You're
says
saying-
that you cannot restrict
I'm
this.
not going to argue those cases here.
I'm not asking you to argue it.
So the next time I bring somebody who is qualified to argue those cases.
Instances.
I have a question.
I'd be happy to provide anybody.
I'm not sure if I hold the record for most permit requests or not, but at least probably bigger ones. And I will say, Chief Tubbs and Sue, you guys have been great. Every time we've had one of these extraordinary rallies, you've been very good about allowing those last-minute changes, like, you know, suddenly we need electrical and suddenly we need stage systems or whatever. So that's been really good. But I think what we're seeing here is the same problem we saw when we spent a lot of hours in the capital occupation trying to keep things calm, which is a department outside of the people dealing with the everyday issue coming in and saying this is the new rule. And they do it suddenly, they do it last second, and they do it in a way that almost asks to inflame the problem. And my two questions are, one, has there ever been a time you have charged law enforcement expenses for any event held at the Capitol, and if so, what were they? And two, what happens if a group gets together to come to a hearing in the Assembly that is more than 4 people and they want to come in and make their point at there? Do they actually have to get a permit to go to a hearing now? Because we do that all the time in lobbying, and we arrange groups like that. And are you saying, because that's political speech, because it's more than 4 people, because they're coming into the Capitol to make a political point, it sure sounds like under your policy they need a permit now. And while you may shake your head, I see nothing in there that makes me, as an average citizen reading that, have any faith at all that I may, if I say the wrong thing in the Assembly, which we've seen before, suddenly start getting arrested and saying you didn't request a permit.
2 things on that. First up, or maybe 3. For the Assembly, obviously they do promulgate their own rules for what takes place in there.
Yeah, but I have to get through the Capitol with a pre-set-up group of people.
Just to reemphasize what Representative Taylor said, looking for more clarification on what does that 4-person mean. I hear you on that. My own personal opinion is if you're involved in talking to your state representatives, that doesn't constitute a rally to me, but I'm not the legal expert on
That's
that.
what the singers
But I think
The rules have not distinguished.
But I think it's a good point that you make, and I appreciate
So we
that
can
you're
lobby
sharing
our
that with us.
representative and
Lastly,
say-
I haven't been here forever. My understanding is there have been occasions where groups have been charged, very large groups, more with, I think it was with one of the campaigns that came through and had one of the presidential campaigns that came through. That might not be the only one, but I'm aware that there at least is some. And also, I think some of the farmers market or some of the other ones, there is precedent.
Yeah, but the farmers market's charged because it's a capitalism, it's a business. You know, we're talking about charging for political speech.
And again, I think
Have there been any cases of that?
we want to make sure that as we are applying this policy, and again, why we would like to have the permits, that we're looking closely at to make sure that we are being consistent.
Well, then, I guess you can consider this a public records request. Political speech charges. Can you please show me any cases that it's been done?
I have a quick question regarding something Chief Tubbs had said, if I may. I have a back disability, and I'm wondering, first of all, how it makes me safer to have my hands bound behind my back if I'm being walked away perhaps for doing something that is completely within my constitutional rights to do. And my second question then, or the second part of the question, has to do with the part in the rules that absolves the state employees, including the Capitol Police, from any lawsuit or anything. I can't sue. Is that what this is saying? That if you break my back as a result of my doing something that is completely within my constitutional rights, that I don't have any recourse? Is that what these rules are saying?
I think that's one legal question.
It is.
Thank you. It is plain English.
Edward, please, my turn. I love you, but please be quiet. I don't believe the question of why now has been answered adequately at all. You would forgive us all for concluding that this governor will not...